Time now for our Rants and Raves of the week, and I'm going to start with you, Dan.
I have a rave for everybody's least favorite chief executive officer, Mark Zuckerberg of Facebook. This week, he wrote a post on Facebook. He said he picked up the phone and called President Obama and basically said, "What are you doing to the internet?" And he wrote a couple of things in his post that I think are worth hearing. He said that to keep the internet strong, we need to keep it secure. And even more powerfully, he said, when our engineers work tirelessly to improve security, we imagine we're protecting you against criminals, not our own government. And he delivered this message to the president, and we'll see if he heard it or not. What's kind of delicious about it, of course, is that there's a huge dollop of hypocrisy here, since Facebook makes its money by invading our privacy. But nevertheless, it's an important message, and I hope that the president heard it.
Good one. All right, Marjorie.
Well, this is self-serving because I work at the Boston Herald, but I wanted to give a shout-out today to two of my colleagues, Aaron Smith and Matt Stout, two young reporters at the Herald that have done great work on the Department of Social Services, the Child Welfare League of today, a national group that their reporting sparked an investigation by them, came out today with some findings to improve the Department of Children and Families. Here's the thing. This is a very secretive organization. It is very difficult to get information from them. The reporting that's involved in getting these stories is endless and tireless. I used to do it when I was a young reporter. And they have made some big, important changes. There's really no constituency for kids that are on the Department of Social Services because they're usually poor kids, they're from tough families, and their reporting is going to make some serious changes. And I think it will make the next governor of the Commonwealth very serious about whom he appoints to succeed Olga Roche, and maybe she's the commissioner, and have much better care for these kids, because what they uncovered was very, very disturbing.
All right. Susie, what do you got?
That's me. So I'm going to try and do this in a way that makes sense, because I'm a little afraid we're going to get mired in the details, but I'm going to sort of try and summarize it. There's this sort of controversy going on about who owns your tweets and whether or not tweets can be considered sort of private or public. And it started because BuzzFeed did this article based on a tweet that @SteenFox put out asking other survivors of sexual assault to describe what they were wearing, sort of to debunk the myth that what you're wearing leads to your sexual assault. And BuzzFeed just sort of took all the tweets from the sexual assault survivors and put them in this article, but never spoke to @SteenFox. And she was just sort of she was pretty furious about that and felt that they hadn't really made an honest effort to get in touch with her. And, whether or not you think that BuzzFeed should or should not have published the tweets, what sort of bothered me about it was just the lack of basic reporting. I mean, they had tweeted at her once and said, "We want to do this story," but no one had ever really tried to find her.
Did they misrepresent her position on
No,
this?
they didn't misrepresent her position, but her point of view was that there was no reason to use the victims' real names and identities. And in another publication, The Root had gotten in touch with her and did the article without doing that. And it didn't lessen the impact of the descriptions from the sexual assault survivors, because a lot of it was people saying, "I was 6 and in my nightgown," or "I was in jeans and a T-shirt," or "I was in a business suit." So it did have a really important point of view, and I think it was a great story, but I just think there isn't enough reporting going on. There's a lot of aggregating. So that's
These were tweets that were on her open public Twitter stream, not private direct message tweets?
No, right. They were public. So this is why I mean, I agree that it's a real gray area.
Well, yeah.
The idea that your tweets are private is sort of a crazy thing. But on the other hand, I do think that it's your job as a reporter to do more than just gather tweets and publish them.
All right, John, what do you got?
Okay, well, all this positivity is giving me I'm going into sugar shock here, but I have a rave. You're going to see a rising star on Sunday morning at the St. Patrick's Day breakfast in the political world, Senator Linda Dorsina-Forey. But I want to do a shout-out to her husband, Bill, and the staff at the Dorchester Reporter, a weekly newspaper that has ignored the conventional wisdom about downplaying political reporting and goes whole hog with excellent young reporters like Gin Dumshis, Mike Dean, Tom Mulvoy, a former Globe editor, is involved in the mix. They just absolutely cleaned up on their coverage of the mayoral race. It didn't hurt that Marty Walsh was from Dorchester. And they're doing a great job on the race to succeed him in the House. And they just really are an indispensable resource for me, and I think other political reporters around town who want to see what's going going on in city politics.
The Dorchester Reporter is a terrific paper,
is, yeah.
and they've got great young reporters, and they have a partnership with Northeastern.
All right.
Bravo.
All right. Well, I hate to add more sugar to this, less and less spice, but I'm going to do that. There's an obituary in today's New York Times of Matthew Power, 39 years old. He's noted as being a world-renowned roving reporter. As one of his editors said, he puts the human face on the sorry facts, like when a mountain fell over in the Philippines, a mountain of garbage, and buried hundreds of people alive. He traveled all over the world. He was in Uganda doing another such story, talking to somebody who had hiked the Nile, I believe. And he died suddenly of a heart attack or heat stroke. He's also the nephew of Harvey Silverglate and Elsa Dorfman. Oh. And they're the ones who called him to my attention. And then I read everything I could possibly read about him today. So the world has lost a fine young journalist. He was only 39 years old.
It was really tragic, yeah.
Awful.